welcome to the next session entitled The Potential Impact of Satellite to Mobile on the Wholesale Business. Satellite to mobile is no longer a concept, it's clear, it's happening now, and it has potential to reshape the entire wholesale telecom landscape. So the next 20 minutes will be spent talking about this great technology and what it means for operators, wholesalers, and the broader ecosystem. And to do that, I'm joined by a good friend of mine, Dooley, who's Chief Commercial Officer of Lynk Global, a company that is at the forefront of satellite to mobile innovation. So we'll give us a short presentation to introduce the topic, and this will be followed by a fireside chat. Dan, welcome.
Great, good to see you again. Thank you very much for the invitation. So just by quick introduction, my name is Dan Dooley. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer of Lynk for about 4 years. Before that, I was a lot of the wholesale. I grew up in the wholesale business at Sprint and AT&T, and so I'm kind of a unique person that would be able to understand how this new innovative technology is going to help a lot of the wholesalers in the international arena. So first and foremost, we're talking about satellite direct-to-device. Some people call it sat to phone, some people call it direct to cell, some people call it direct to device. Essentially, it's that, it's the ability to connect the phone in your pocket with a satellite, an unmodified phone in your pocket with a satellite in orbit. And Lynk is the first company in the world that patented, proven, and commercially licensed the direct-to-device technology. Again, sort of sat phones have been around for a long time, where you had an individual phone that would connect. You'd have 2 different phones. You'd have your landline phone. You'd have your sat phone. What we're talking about here is that all 5.5 billion mobile devices around the globe will be able to connect to satellites in orbit. And that's without doing anything different, without changing your subscription with your mobile network operator, without having to add on any type of hardware or software to your phone. It just works like it does normally, and it works via roaming, which is why on the wholesale side, we get excited about that. So the picture is really worth 1,000 words. So I'm going to show an animation here. This is a true live test that we did in Argentina, in Patagonia, a beautiful spot in Patagonia. This essentially, as you see, as Link Tower 1's flying over a certain site in Patagonia, we're using Telefónica's spectrum, connecting it to our Link Tower, which is a cell tower in space, which basically allows their subscribers and other subscribers to see the satellite. And as you can see here, a couple of things. One is we have the ability to put down a cellular site on Earth that is pretty much looks like a cellular site that you would have with a terrestrial tower. It's just coming from space. And 2 is that you're able to put it in a spot and maintain that spot to allow that it's no interference with the corresponding terrestrial connectivity that we have. And what's really interesting is all of these dots, all of these white dots that are on the screen or coming on the screen essentially are all devices. They're in the field devices, unmodified, by definition, unmodified devices in the field that are, looking to the satellite as the only form of connectivity and tries to connect to the satellite. We use traditional roaming BSS OSS to say, nope, you're not allowed to do it. But essentially, we can show the operator all of these IMSIs, all of these devices that tried to connect that were not in terrestrial coverage and look to the satellite as the best coverage. So at the end of the day, what this does is this provides supplemental coverage from space. It provides mobile network operators the ability to use their existing spectrum in a much more efficient way in places that they're not using it today, and to have geographic coverage everywhere where they have spectrum. And this allows, wholesalers to be able to be able to sell more geography, right? When people come into your territories and they're connecting through the normal roaming infrastructure, they look at it as your facilities have grown. You have connectivity everywhere in your geography. And so just a few numbers about Link. Again, we invented the technology in 2017, which allows a cell tower that's moving at 8 kilometers a second, 500 kilometers above the earth, which is amazing. The ability to put it down in a geographic spot and use your existing spectrum to do that. We have 50 MNO contracts with mobile network operators around the globe. A lot of them are public, like Rogers and Telstra and Globe, and MTN and others. In Europe, there's Mio and Turkcell. So a lot of the mobile network operators, as Isabelle said, are seeing this now as a potential opportunity. It's still early. You need a lot more satellites, but it's still early. But we're able to demonstrate, and we have in 32 different countries around the globe, the ability to demonstrate simple things like messaging and even voice. And I'll show that in a little bit. Essentially, we are the only, we're the carrier that has an FCC license, so we're able to offer services. The technology has been proven on all 7 continents, and we've gotten regulatory approval in about 35 countries around the globe and have shown it, working in 32 countries. And one of the interesting ones is in New Zealand, where we have a couple of partners in New Zealand, and one partner in specific is 2 Degrees. And they were so excited about it that they wanted to make a voice call. And so they lit up a beautiful area, Hanoa National Park on the South Island, that didn't have connectivity, but was very, it was a lot of truckers there, a lot of hikers went there. And it didn't have any connectivity. So even the ability to send periodic messaging was something of interest, but they wanted to see if a voice call would work. So the video that we're playing, or we're going to play in a second here, is going to show that voice call from Hanoa National Park.
So we're in a Hanoa Regional Park, which is a pretty nice spot, but we picked it because it's got no network coverage. So you can't normally make a phone call out here. We're going to try one via a cell tower in space.
Hello, Brendan. How are you doing?
Hey Dave, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, mate, loud and clear.
First call over satellite in New Zealand.
Casual groundbreaking kid milestone for a morning.
Hey, do you want to hear a dad joke? It's pretty cold up in space, but it just got
2 degrees cooler.
Too cool.
So you can see that, supplemental coverage from space is real. It works. It has the ability to do all the things that your device does today in a city. It needs to have more satellites, it needs to have more connectivity, it needs to have more capacity, but the bones are there. And as you can see, there's multiple people who are putting up constellations to be able to supply it. And eventually you'll be able to use them to be able to extend your geographic coverage anywhere in your territory.
Dan, thank you for a great presentation. It's so exciting. I can't actually wait to try it myself. Hopefully soon I will be able to do so. So now it's time for the hot seat. You know me, I like the hot seat. I like to put you and ask you some difficult questions. But luckily to help you today, joining us is Mahmoud Khafogy. He's the VP Product and Sales Support at Lynk Global. Mahmoud, welcome.
Thank you, Isabella. I'm Mahmoud Khafogy. I'm the VP of Product and Product Management and Sales Support at Lynk. I've been with Lynk for just over 5 years, and my background is with mobile network operators and service providers, primarily focused on roaming. So I work with the business development team for implementing this product to the entire world. So thanks for having me today.
Welcome, Mahmoud. So guys, why is this potentially a game changer for the wholesale business? And today we're talking about wholesale. Why should the wholesalers watching be so interested in this technology?
Yeah, so what's interesting is that, and I'll take it back a second. So a couple of years ago, a lot of the mobile network operators and a lot of people in the world didn't believe it was even possible to connect a regular unmodified phone to a cell tower. I think now that all has been washed away and everyone understands you can connect it. So now as we're talking to mobile network operators, most of the time they ask about, what about roaming? What about roaming? What about if my subscribers are going to Canada and they're on a Canadian site that Rogers provides via Lynk, can I get access to it? And vice versa. What if I'm here in the States and I come over to Portugal and I'm able to now connect to Mio? How will that happen? And what's beautiful about this system is that it looks like roaming. It has its own PLM ID. It's got its own roaming. So it looks like it's roaming. It looks like it's domestic roaming for these carriers. So essentially, again, I'll go back to my wholesale roots. It would allow me to have more territory to sell into, right? I would able to have the ability to now to not only sell in Portugal, Lisbon and whenever my subscribers would come in, but inbound roaming into new territories adds another level of revenue that they don't see that today.
Okay. And do you think it's going to be a premium niche service, or is it going to be something that is mass market offering integrated in wholesale deals going forward?
I think it's a journey. I think it's a journey. I think you're seeing today it's a premium service because it's so little supply, right? There's so much demand. There's about 5.5 billion people around the globe. Of any given time, those 5.5 billion people are out of coverage about 10 or 20% of the time. And then there's another 500 million to about a billion people that would love to have connectivity, has the means to buy connectivity, but there is no connectivity. So I do think that until the supply catches up, until you have multiple constellations with enough satellites to have capacity, it's going to look like a premium service. But what's interesting is happening in the States here with, I'll take the example of T-Mobile and SpaceX. They've launched a premium product here for messaging only. They've launched to their customers the ability to buy a $15 a month package, monthly package to have messaging in over satellite. So if you think about it, I think the ARPU here in the States is about 50, right? That's 30% of the ARPU in just a messaging service. So that would be even more in a voice and data service. However, what they've also said, which is great, is if you come from AT&T and Verizon, you pay the $15. If you come from T-Mobile and you're not on the premium plan, the Go 5G Next plan, you pay the premium. But if you're on the premium plan, in order to give you more value for the premium plan, you get it for free. So what I think is happening right now is it's a premium service, but it's more toward moving the subscriber base up to the premium plans. I believe over time that it'll be just part of everyone's plan. And yes, some people will pay more because they're paying by the minute or by the message, right? I may have a message plan, I may have a per gigabit plan, but if I have an unlimited plan and I pay the premium unlimited, I believe it's going to be bundled in. And I think it's a great way and a cost-effective way for mobile network operators to extend their coverage.
Okay. So you mentioned money, everything's about money these days. So what do you think for the wholesalers watching us today, what do you think is the opportunity for them in satellite connectivity? Is it new revenue stream, expanded coverage?
Well, I think it's all of those, but I think the wholesaler needs to, as an extension of the mobile network operator, have a satellite roaming strategy, right? So are you going to allow basic things? I'll pick on Rogers in Canada since they're one of our really best partners here. Will Rogers allow other subscribers to roam into that territory that is created by Lynk, but on their spectrum? If they do, will they allow it at the same price points that they allow normal roaming at, or will it be a premium, or will it be a discount potentially? What are they trying to accomplish? So just like you're managing, and when I was back at Sprint managing the international division, when you're managing a wholesale unit, you're looking for that blend of between maximizing the revenue and the capacity and the quality. You're going to have to do the same thing over satellite. And at the beginning of the satellite journey, you're not going to have enough supply. So potentially you could have, for this PLMID, which is over satellite, you could have a higher price to your inbound roamers, or only give a certain segment of your inbound roamers that. And that is true in the reverse way. So I see as people are going through WAS and going through the normal roaming things, I think the conversations are going to have to start around how each individual wholesaler from the mobile network operator is going to manage this traffic.
Okay. And now the last question, last but not least, if I looked into both of your crystal balls and I looked, 5 years down the line, what would I see when I look at satellite to mobile in the wholesale space?
So I'll give you my answer, and then Mahmoud, I'd love for you to chime in on this afterwards. But mine is, I look at this as my grandkids. I'm older than you, much older than you, Isabelle, but my grandkids, we'll live in a world or wake up in a world that their mobile device will just work everywhere. It'll just work everywhere. They won't understand they're under satellite or terrestrial. Just like today, I don't know whether I'm connected to satellite tower A or satellite tower B. I just know it works or it doesn't work. They're going to grow up in a world where it's always going to work, which is great. They're always going to have connectivity for good and bad, right? But you can always turn your phone off. We always tell people that you can always turn your phone off. But they're going to live in a world where they're not going to care and they're not going to know what type of connectivity, what type of spectrum they're on, whether they're on terrestrial spectrum or MSS spectrum or NTN or what. They're not going to worry about any of that. It's just going to work seamlessly out of the box, and they're going to use it like they use it today. And I think mobile network operators will have a combination of, increasing the revenue that they might get or increasing the value they get, and they'll be managing their portfolio like they do today. Now, Mahmoud probably has a more deeper answer than that, but that's my high level view. I'm older, so you guys are younger. You're gonna have to live with me.
Well, I'm not that young
No,
anymore.
I agree with Dan. I think what's going to happen with the mobile network operator is going to take out all the coverage maps, right? Like you're going to cover the entire geography, whether it's from space or terrestrially. And from a user perspective, it really won't matter. Like for example, today you may be connected to a macro or micro cell tower, but you don't know whether you're connected to that or even Wi-Fi. So I think that adds another layer of connectivity that it's going to act as a supplemental coverage to the end user, and the user won't be able to know that this is satellite or terrestrial. So yeah, I think absolutely that would make sense for all the full suites of products, whether it's voice or data or messaging.
And then just to put a wrapper on, I think from an M&O point of view, I think you're going to see 4 or 5 constellations when built out that will give the mobile network operators the ability, just like they do roaming today. You have multiple vendors in roaming today. You determine the best quality and price and all that equation. You'll do the same thing for satellite, and you will be determining how you want to roll that out, which customer sets you want to roll it out to. But it's an exciting journey. It's still at the infancy of it. It's happening very, very quickly. Again, a couple of years ago, we were talking to mobile network operators around if it would work. Now I believe everyone understands it's going to work. How far it goes, that's what's going to be the question that we'll see in 5 years.
Dan and Mahmoud, thank you for a great presentation and fireside chat. I think these are exciting times for all of us, but more precisely for you guys. I'm so happy for you, and I know you've had some really positive news recently, going forward. So the sky is the limit for sure, guys.
Onward and upward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the great discussion.